You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Top of the morning to ya. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Happy Jupiter Day, happy Thursday, whatever you're celebrating today. Welcome. I'm so grateful you found us here. We have a lot of great transits to talk about today, multiple planetary connections, and we're now under that Virgo full moon. It goes exact just after midnight tonight. That's when the moon hits its fullest point. So we're really starting to feel that full moon energy. And as you're tuning in, whether you're live, whether you're finding this later, let me know how this full moon is feeling for you down in the comments. I know my partner went to a coffee shop this morning and he heard multiple people talking about how they couldn't sleep last night. He couldn't sleep last night. Daylight saving is also throwing off a lot of sleep schedules as well. But yeah, a lot of people are really feeling this full moon energy already. So we'll kind of preview the full moon tomorrow, though. We'll dive into what this full moon means for you. I'll have another astrologer joining me, going through each of the signs, talking about the other planetary transits playing out in the background tomorrow, and helping us get ready for release and wiping the slate clean before the astrological new year and the spring equinox on Sunday. So lots of fun stuff to talk about, but actually I want to start by just doing a little riff on St. Patrick's Day. So, I'm not going to get into the deep history of St. Patrick's Day or anything like that because it's pretty straightforward. It's named after St. Patrick, who was, I believe, a patron saint in Irish culture, and of course this holiday is associated with Irish culture. But something that I've been thinking about a lot that I wanted to share with you is the fact that St. Patrick's Day, at least here in the US, was popularized to bring solidarity for the Irish people, Irish immigrants. You have to remember, about 100 years ago even, Irish people weren't exactly welcome in American society. They were frowned upon. They were kind of outcast or oppressed in certain ways. So just want to honor, I have a lot of Irish in my blood. I want to honor my ancestors, anyone with Irish in their own ancestry. And, often we talk about different cultures, people being oppressed, but I feel like Irish get left out of the conversation a lot. So just want to hold space for that today and honor the Irish culture, Irish ancestry, and the rich culture that it brings. Who else is going to eat potatoes today? Because I certainly am. I know a lot of people are going to be drinking green beer too. So let me know what you're going to do to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. If you have any fun traditions that you want to share, I would love to hear. I want to do something fun, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. All right, but that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about astrology. So let's go over the major transits playing out today. Today's affirmation is going to be, I allow my intuition to guide me. I allow my intuition to guide me. And that's because today's energy is going to feel a little bit chaotic or all over the place. We have the full moon, which heightens our emotions. The full moon is opposing Jupiter and Neptune. So that's just kind of creating some energy imbalances. It's creating some confusion. And then our main transits we're talking about today, Mercury is forming a sextile to Uranus. Normally, this would be a very positive transit for clarity. However, Mercury is in Pisces, and it's in a weak position, and it's making it hard to find that clarity. And on top of that, the sun is squaring off to Lilith, which makes us feel a little bit more feisty. So let's go through each of these transits and what they mean, and we'll go in chronological order. So the first connection that has happened today happened at 4:30 a.m. actually, and that was the sun squaring off to Lilith, as I just mentioned. Now, Lilith is known as the Black Moon, and Lilith has her own history. She was known as Adam's first wife in certain cultures, and she wanted equality. She didn't want to be oppressed. She didn't want to be a submissive. So the story goes, she left Adam, and Lilith really in astrology represents that inner part of us that wants sovereignty, that wants to revolt, maybe our inner bitch, but there's a lot of power with Lilith. Anything that's been repressed can come up when the sun squares off to Lilith, especially if it has to do with equality or standing up for yourself. Lilith represents those repressed desires and our innate sexual power. Often Lilith is associated with sexuality, and that's why she has been deemed this dark figure in a lot of religions. But when we really look at Lilith, we can reclaim her and we can see her as that inner sexual power. Now, she's very raw and wild. So when she's squaring off to the sun, this can make us feel more feisty, feel more impulsive. And you could have urges to kind of like lash out or pop off, for lack of a better term, especially because not only is the sun squaring Lilith in Pisces, the sun is in Pisces, but the moon then squares Lilith tonight because the moon is opposing the sun under this full moon. So we're getting a T-square with Lilith involved, which can, if there's something that you have been holding back or quieting yourself on, it could be hard to keep that in today. So just, it's a great thing to express yourself. It's a beautiful thing to stand up for yourself, to tap into your power. But the difficulty with this transit is how you're saying things, how you're expressing yourself. Make sure you or try to do it gently, because you want to make sure the person that is on the other end of the phone, the conversation, whatever, is going to be receptive to what you're saying, or what's the point anyway. So Lilith really, we might just be feeling a little feisty today. And then at 5:30 a.m., so this is the transit we'll feel most strongly today. It's two major planets connecting. We have Mercury forming a 60-degree angle to Uranus. So if you take a look at our chart here, you can see Mercury is at 12 degrees in Pisces. Uranus is at 12 degrees in Taurus. Also, this goes without saying. I say this, I think, every day, but this is a really nice time to pull out your chart, take a look at what's going on in Pisces, take a look at what's going on in Virgo, because those are going to be the areas most affected by this full moon. And with so many planets in Pisces, it's a really good time to pay attention to what's happening there for you. So anyway, I digress. Mercury forming a sextile to Uranus. That's the main transit of this St. Patrick's Day. Now, like I said, when Mercury forms a sextile to Uranus under normal circumstances, this brings flashes of insight, intuitive downloads. It can bring clarity or a different perspective, new information, excitement when it comes to how we're thinking, how we're speaking, how we're talking. Speaking and talking are the same word. But here's the point, actually. That's a great example. Mercury's in Pisces, so our communication is very much clouded. It's very murky. Mercury doesn't like to be in Pisces. Mercury likes clarity and precision, and it's exalted in Virgo. It's the ruler of Virgo. So Pisces, the opposite sign of Virgo, is where it's at a weak point, which is why our minds can wander and dream and imagine more easily with Mercury in Pisces. You might have been feeling those vibes over the past week or so, but actually making the plan, sticking to it, speaking, thinking with clarity can be a little bit more difficult when Mercury is in Pisces. So with that being said, Mercury forming this supportive angle to Uranus can still bring intuitive downloads, flashes of insight, but they might be a little bit more difficult to decipher. It could feel like, okay, is this a random thought or is this an intuitive download? It'll be hard to distinguish between the two. New perspectives are definitely a possibility today, but again, the difficulty here is distinguishing between impulse and intuition, because Uranus can make us feel a little impulsive. It's the planet of disruption, but you know, impulse and intuition, if you're not well versed on how they feel differently for you, it can create some confusion. So just be aware of that, and maybe don't make any rash moves today. This is a really beautiful day to kind of sit with whatever comes through, let it linger, let it kind of resonate, and see if it's something you want to act on or you want to move forward with. And maybe doing so after the full moon, like giving yourself tonight's full moon, tomorrow, to really allow yourself to emotionally process whatever is coming through for you. That might be a good idea. But you know, this transit can make us innovative and imaginative. So don't count it out altogether when Mercury forms a sextile to Uranus. It is a positive transit. This really could be a beautiful time for like brainstorming, you know, like tons of innovative ideas. If they're coming through, like write them all down, just don't do anything with them yet, because we'll want to wait until we gain a little bit more clarity to kind of go through whatever ideas came in and maybe cross out the ones that are like, no, I don't actually want to do that, or what was I thinking, you know? So yeah, pay attention to what comes through, but don't necessarily do anything with it yet. The moon is still in Virgo, and something that's really been coming through over the past couple days as I've been thinking about tonight's full moon. Again, the moon is full just after midnight tonight. Virgos love cleaning and organizing. I am a Virgo. I know this to be true. They love cleanliness. They love a clear space. And as we are coming into the last days of the astrological year, we have a new astrological year. Aries season begins. We have the spring equinox on Sunday. These last couple days of this year for us in astrology are a time to wipe the slate clean, to declutter, to make space for something new to come in the new year. Now, Virgo also asks us to pay attention to our habits and our routines. It rules the 6th house. So this is also a time, as maybe you're having these ideas come through with Mercury and Uranus connecting with one another. Maybe ask yourself, will my current routines and habits actually support these dreams that I'm calling in, or this great idea I had? How can I structure each day in my life so that I can accomplish these things? And that can be a way to wipe the slate clean as well. You know, just kind of resetting your routine, resetting that morning ritual. I know I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, I really need to get my morning routine back. I don't know about you, but like I said, daylight saving has really messed with my schedule, my sleep schedule. I know a lot of people have been having weird sleep issues too. Pisces season is a very sleepy time in general. So as we're coming into these last few days of Pisces season, give yourself that time to rest, reflect, and under the Virgo full moon, this is a time to think about, okay, like how do I want my life to look in the astrological new year? What habits, schedules, routines can support that? And then on top of that, this full moon, you know, full moons are a time to release. So that's another way of wiping the slate clean. Release what's no longer serving you. Release what you don't want to bring with you into the new year. Wipe the emotional slate clean as we're talking about the Virgo moon. Lots of things, and we'll go even deeper into the full moon tomorrow, like I said. But let's talk about what connections the moon is making today. So at 6 a.m., the moon opposed Jupiter. And this could have been a reason why you might not have been able to sleep early this morning, because when the moon faces off with Jupiter, this looks like either an excess of energy or no energy at all. It's kind of like oppositions, or like one or the other, you know, it's like make or break. So, you know, we can see silver linings more easily as the moon is opposing Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of optimism. even with the moon in critical Virgo, Jupiter's like, hey, we're facing like, there are beautiful things happening. We can be optimistic. There are silver linings. Even if they feel annoying, we're facing the silver linings this morning. But like I said, this could have looked like a burst of energy first thing in the morning, around 6 a.m. Pacific time. The downfall or potential downfall, and we're moving past this energy for the most part right now, but you might have struggled with self-control this morning because Jupiter likes to go overboard. And Virgo, the moon in Virgo is like total self-control, but Jupiter in Pisces is like, woo, like let's party. Like what comes to mind is I grew up here. I went to college in San Luis Obispo. I went to Cal Poly, and every year on St. Patrick's Day, they have a bar crawl at 6 a.m. And I was just talking to my partner. I was like, the last time that I think I got really sick from drinking too much and like went way too hard, this was years and years ago because I learned my lesson the hard way, was on St. Patrick's Day. And so, I just see the moon opposing Jupiter as like those 6 a.m. bar crawls, people going way too crazy first thing in the morning on St. Patrick's Day, or just having, in your own personal life, a burst of energy, an excess of energy, maybe waking up and being like, oh, I really need that sugary coffee today, That's the moon opposing Jupiter. Now, right now, we're experiencing another connection between the Virgo moon and Saturn. This is an uncomfortable connection. It's an imbalanced angle. So this could look like a bit of like a speed bump, or, our responsibilities, our duties kind of lingering in the background, like, hey, these are all the things you need to get done today. Remember us, remember your to-do list, remember all of your responsibilities. Or it could remind you of like limits, boundaries. Like going back to the bar crawl analogy, like the moon opposed Jupiter, 6 a.m. You were like, woo, like happy St. Patrick's Day. And then by 11 a.m. you're like, oh, my body. I shouldn't have done that, That's kind of the energy. Of course, that doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, but just energetically, that might be kind of how the morning felt for you. And pay attention if worries are coming up for you, especially with the moon in Virgo. We can be a little bit overly analytical. So allow yourself to release worries, really try to go with the flow, try to tap into your intuition more than your rational mind today, because the rational mind is going to be clouded with Mercury in Pisces and the moon in Virgo. It just can make the mind a little bit overactive. So just worries, if limits, if boundaries are coming up for you, it's natural, it's normal. Ask them what they want, release them, let them go. All part of the process of cleaning the slate and releasing under the full moon. And the last connection the full moon makes today is another opposition, this time to Neptune. And this happens at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So the moon is reaching its peak tonight, right? And it's facing off against Neptune, the planet that rules our subconscious, our dreams, our imagination, our spirituality. This is also a very sensitive planet, Neptune, heightened sensitivity anytime Neptune is involved. So this can make us feel overly sensitive as the moon opposes Neptune, because we're talking about our emotions when we talk about the moon. Really, this afternoon, this evening, leaning into a spiritual practice is going to be your best bet. Whether that's meditation, whether that's doing an oracle pull, whether it's just, cleaning your house can be a spiritual practice. Any form of intentional, any form of anything intentional really can be a spiritual practice. So tonight, really try to do something intentional and try to start thinking about, okay, what am I calling in under this full moon? What am I releasing? What do I need to let go of for the astrological new year? And how can a spiritual practice help me do that? Or if you're searching for clarity, because like I said, it can feel like very confusing, chaotic throughout the day to day. With Neptune involved too, it can cause some confusion. So if you're looking for clarity, your best bet is going to be spiritual practices or meditation or doing something that allows you to tap into your intuition. Your rational mind cannot be trusted fully today. It really can't. So it's really not much use today, I should say. So clarity can really come from, at least this afternoon when the moon opposes Neptune, you can find clarity from honing in on those sensitivities. And I don't say sensitivities like emotional sensitivity, although that could come up as well, but like opening your senses, right? Allowing maybe that sixth sense to open up and connect with a power beyond yourself, whatever that means to you. So spirituality, spiritual practices under this full moon are, I think, even more recommended, in my opinion, than a regular full moon, just because it's the last one of the year. It's the full moon in Pisces season. It's a time of closure, endings, release, letting go, cleaning that slate. So spiritual practices can really help us do that. Or even, like I said, meditation, sitting in stillness. That's a great way to connect to your intuition. And the full moon is just after midnight at 27 degrees in Virgo. So if you have your chart out and ready, take a look at where 27 degrees Virgo falls for you. And this is prime time for full moon rituals tonight or tomorrow as well. If you already did it, that's fine too. Really, you can use the full moon a few days before, a few days after. But like I said, we'll dive into how to work with this full moon more fully tomorrow, what it means for your sign. But tonight, if you're feeling inspired or like you want to work with the full moon, you can still do your rituals tonight. Absolutely. Feel the heightened energy. And also something to think about with the full moon in Virgo. Virgo is a sign of service. So if you're not exactly sure what you want to call in for yourself or what you need to release for yourself, maybe focusing on how you're helping others, that can bring some clarity. If you're calling in abundance, how are you going to share that with other people? If you are looking to release something for yourself, how is releasing that going to help you show up better for other people around you? Really thinking about service and thinking about how all of your actions, emotions are affecting the people around you can help you lean into the energy of the Virgo moon. It can also illuminate our health as well, going along with our routines, our habits. Our health is a huge part of that, and Virgo is the sign that rules our health. So just really under this full moon, regardless of, if it feels like clarity for you, if it feels muddled for you, make sure that you are starting from a place of your own routines, your own habits, your own health, putting yourself first so you can help other people. Okay, so it's kind of this balance between we want to be able to serve others, we want to be thinking about others under this full moon, but we can't fully do that unless we have the routines, habits in place to be taking care of ourselves. All right, so more on the full moon tomorrow. I'm really excited for the guest I have coming on tomorrow. I think she's gonna be a super fun conversation all about the full moon. So yeah, it'll be fun. Oh look, what are we saying in the comments? Yes, perfect for the Virgo moon, getting ready to go back to yoga and the gym. And new moons are often times when we set intentions, but full moons can be a really beautiful time to reflect on those intentions or for those intentions to come to fruition. So it's not that you can set intentions anytime you want. You can manifest anytime you want, and the energy is very powerful under a full moon. But I feel like this full moon is a really reflective time. Like think back to September, the new moon in Virgo. What were you calling in? What were you asking for? What intentions were you setting? How have those already shown up for you? What do you need to release and let go of so you can continue along that path of growth, of expansion? These analogies. Yeah, right? Oh, it's been a long time since I was at a St. Patrick's Day bar crawl, and I don't know if I'll ever go to one again, to be honest with you, because, yeah, complete lack of self-control, especially with only college students. Yes. I want to go on social media and see, like, somewhere in San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly, I'm sure there's an account I follow that will show me all of the shenanigans happening down there so I can live vicariously through other people and I don't have to trash my body in the process. Anyway, I digress. You can look up what star constellation was directly above your birthplace. The pole star Draco, Cepheus, Cassiopeia are over mine Alaskan birth. That's really cool. I didn't know that. Oh, okay. You're talking about tropical Libra, but astronomical Virgo. You know, Joshua, this is something actually I want to do this year at some point, is I want to do a series and bring on different astrologers who practice different forms of astrology, traditional, sidereal, tropical, because there are different beliefs or kind of systems that people follow. Some people are like diehard, like I'm only going to follow what's in the sky right now. Some people are diehard tropical, like this is all based on mathematical points, you know. And some people only follow traditional astrology and don't include more modern planets and things like that. So very interesting, but I think whatever resonates with you is what's meant for you to know. So if you feel more like a Libra, then tropical astrology is probably your jam. If you feel more like a Virgo, then, maybe sidereal astrology is for you. Either way, though, I want to point out right now, all the aspects the planets are making that we talk about, regardless of what sign they're in, apply to any form of astrology. So regardless of what you practice, of course, sometimes we infuse like this planet is in this sign, connecting with this planet in this sign. But either way, the connections between the planets are always going to be the same in every form of astrology. So you can still gain something even if you're not sure exactly which kind of astrology you want to follow. And then, that also comes with people saying there's a new sign. There's not a new sign, okay? There's not a 13th sign. I can't tell you how many people have asked me about that. It's not a thing, but, people just want to make up their own reasons for astrology not to be real. And it's just not true. It's not true. Yes. I know. How old do you feel like looking back at college students now and being like, oh my gosh, how long has it been since I was that person? Like, whew, it's been a while, but it is fun. And, they're just living their best lives. And I'm here for it. They have these young bodies who can probably handle alcohol a lot better than mine can. And they're just, that's the time to do it in college, right? The mathematical points change because the constellations move 1 degree every 72 years. Shemaine is 15 degrees Scorpio with, okay. Yeah. Well, we can get deep into this, which is why I want to do a series. So let me know if you'd be interested in that series, Joshua. I already have a few astrologers in mind, but I want to do at least 3 or 4 different conversations about the different forms of astrology, why people are really dead set on their form and what the differences between them are, because I'm curious as well. All right. Loving all this chat though, you guys. So let's do an overview of what's going on today, and then we will pull a card together. So we are making our way towards the full moon in Virgo tonight, but first we're experiencing a few planetary connections on the way. The sun squares off to Lilith, which could make us feel a little bit more feisty or outspoken, and Mercury is getting support from Uranus. Now this can bring through intuitive downloads or flashes of insight, but it could be difficult to distinguish between intuition and impulse with Mercury in murky Pisces. So this is a time to really try to tap into your intuition and let it guide you rather than trying to process things with your analytical mind. The moon in Virgo opposes Jupiter and Neptune before it becomes full. This happens throughout the day. So first thing this morning when the moon opposed Jupiter, it could have felt like a burst of energy or almost a little bit of an excessive vibe, reaching for that thing to make you feel good or struggling with self-control. But the moon opposing Jupiter can help us see silver linings and be a little bit more optimistic. Now, when the moon opposes Neptune this afternoon, expect confusion to be amped up a little bit. Neptune clouds our judgment, and we can feel a little bit overly sensitive or overly emotional, maybe even confused. So clarity is going to come from your intuition, again, rather than your rational mind today. And leaning into a spiritual practice under the full moon, a ritual under the full moon, some sort of spiritual connection is actually more likely to bring you clarity than talking through something or processing it how you might normally do so. And then the moon becomes full just after midnight. So we'll dive into what that full moon means for your sign tomorrow morning. But tonight could be a beautiful night to start those full moon rituals and connect to your spirituality under the lunation. All right, let's pull a card. Oh, if it's an open debate, maybe that would be fun. See, I don't know though. I don't like conflict, you guys, so I don't know if I want to bring on everybody to argue, but everything I do would be live streamed. So you would definitely be able to give your input and ask questions by, I mean, all of the videos I do, I stream live for that reason. I want you to feel like you're involved and you can ask questions. But that's not going to be for a while because I've got a million other things going on before that. But I'm thinking later this year, that would be a really fun series. You are deep into it, Joshua. But I like it. I'm here for it. All right, so as I'm shuffling these cards, we're going to pull from the Spirit Animal deck today. This is your time to ask your questions. Let me know how this full moon is playing out for you, how you're feeling. If you have any manifestation or ritual plans you want to share, if you have any St. Patrick's Day plans you want to share, or like I said, I'm looking for some sort of fun little St. Patrick's ritual I can do today. So if you have something fun that you do, or some sort of Irish tradition actually would be wonderful. Maybe I should look into that. Tap into my Irish roots. All right, let's find out what message needs to come through. What do we need to know today? Bobcat Spirit, life is a mystery, but I actually pulled it in reverse. So let's find out what it means. Card number 8, if 8's an important number to you. 8's a very abundant number. We love that for a full moon. All right, here's what it says. I'm going to read the protection message because I did pull it in reverse. Bobcat Spirit tells you this is not a time to reveal your deepest, most cherished dreams and desires to others, but rather a time to be quiet and gentle with yourself as truths begin to emerge in your awareness. Self-protection is called for, so be discerning, selective, and even secretive, revealing no more than is necessary. People have a way of imposing their opinions on you, so pay attention to whom you surround yourself with at this time. Be watchful and check your own motives as well as those of others as you keep your secrets to yourself for now, rather than expose them to those who may potentially misunderstand your intentions or may not be supportive. Let your logical mind take a rest as you start to perceive the energy of your own environment. Bobcat Spirit wants you to be stealthy and wise and keep your own counsel. Let yourself be a mystery yet to be revealed. Ooh. Let yourself be a mystery. Love that. And I mean, how spot on with what I've been saying with all the transits today. This is not a time, it says, to rely on your logical mind. So as dreams, insights are coming through, if you're still trying to work them out, this card is telling us process internally, process alone. Maybe not the time to bounce ideas off other people just yet. Keep your cards close to your chest for now. And be very selective with who you share your dreams with, who you share those insights with. Be watchful, check your own motives as well as those of others. We can be easily deceived in Pisces season as well. So this feels very spot on for the current energy. It doesn't mean that you can't trust anybody. It just is reminding us to be a little bit more careful of who you divulge information to. And again, like, this isn't a time to start spouting off ideas or things before they're really ready. Like I said, with Mercury forming this sextile to Uranus, you might have imaginative, intuitive downloads, information coming through. And if you're like me, I want to tell everybody all these ideas all the time, but they're fresh little baby ideas that are coming in and they're not ready yet. That's what this card is telling you. They're not ready to share yet. So hold your cards close to your chest. And let your logical mind take a rest. I think that's also the big message from this. That's what the guidebook says, and very aligned with the affirmation of today. I allow my intuition to guide me. Rather than our rational mind, allow your intuition to guide you. Open that sixth sense. Let's see. Jesus is a Virgo too. I love that. I mean, I'm not sure exactly where we're getting that information from. As a journalist, I'm like, we need to fact check this. But as a Virgo, I'm like, of course Jesus is a Virgo, because, I mean, are we not a little holier than thou? Just kidding. Okay. Lots of fun conversation today in the chat. So remember the Bobcat spirit. Allow those intuitive ideas to come in, allow new information to come in, allow that spiritual connection, but give yourself time to process it before you share with others. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Transits Today. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be talking all about the full moon, what area of your life it's activating according to your rising sign. We'll have another astrologer on to really talk through the energy. We also have some other major connections happening tomorrow. I believe the sun forms a sextile to Pluto, so this full moon is really going to be all about letting go, releasing, letting the old ways die. We're already feeling that energy, but tomorrow that's going to be even more potent. So, you can work with the full moon tonight or tomorrow night over the weekend, but going into the weekend is really going to be a time at the last couple of days of winter to release, let go, let it die, clear the soil for new seeds to grow in the spring. Okay? Thanks so much for joining me today for all of the fun conversation. We're also going to have some really fun shows next week for the astrological new year. So Monday morning, actually Court, who's here in the chat, is going to join me. We're going to have a little hype party for Aries season, the astrological new year. It's going to be super fun. We also have a really neat conversation coming up next week on the spiritual journalist next Tuesday. I'm finalizing that right now. So lots of fun stuff coming up. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to be notified about all the new videos coming out. When I go live as well, you can turn on notifications. So like Joshua was asking, you can be part of the conversation. You can ask your questions. You can provide your input. I absolutely love it. And yeah, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize this channel. So if you could be part of that effort, I would be so, so grateful. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy beginning of this potent full moon in Virgo. We're here for it. We're here for you. I'm so grateful you showed up for yourself to align with the energy today. I'm so grateful you showed up for this community. And I will see you right back here tomorrow morning to talk all about this full moon. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.